My name is Emily, and I will be your trainer today. I'm the account manager, customer success manager. Those names are interchangeable for REMAX Rouge River. So let's go ahead and get started. Just a little bit about myself. I'm a mother of 3 kids, ages 18, 16, and 12 now. Gosh, they just had their birthday, so it's hard to remember. I'm a huge foodie, so everywhere I go, everywhere I travel to, I love to try the cuisines of the region, just to explore a little bit further that way. Also, I'm an acrophobic, and all that is just a fancy way of saying I'm afraid of heights. So that's probably because I'm vertically challenged, as my husband will tell you, but nonetheless, I'm afraid of heights. Moving on here. So we'll talk a little bit more about what skyslope is in just a minute, but I just want to preface everything with saying that you are not alone in this venture. As you begin learning skyslope, these are going to be some important facts to know, and that is, first, we have a phenomenal 24-hour support team. In fact, they're so great that we guarantee response times. So if you call them via telephone, they're guaranteed to pick up within 2 rings. If you chat with them via our chat feature, they will pick up within 10 seconds. And if you shoot them an email, they'll respond within 20 minutes. And if any of those guarantees aren't met for any reason whatsoever, they will send you a free Starbucks gift card. Starbucks is huge here in the US. I know you probably have other favorite chains in Canada, but that's what we send out, just to say we apologize for the inconvenience. Moving on here, again, to tell you a little bit more about skyslope and why we are what we are, please meet Tyler Smith. He is our CEO and founder of skyslope. So Tyler first started his career as a real estate agent. He's actually not an engineer or a software developer. He actually began as a real estate agent in his late teens, early 20s. So he was actually so successful in his time as a real estate agent that he was doing roughly 300 deals a year, and was named one of the top 30 realtors under the age of 30 by Realtor magazine. So with all of that success comes a lot of deals and paperwork, right? He needed to find a better way to manage all that paperwork. So he decided to find a system that he could where he could do all of his work online, but he couldn't find anything that was really suited his needs. So he decided to hire software developers to develop his own system. And that's how skyslope was born. A few years later, he retired his real estate hat, became CEO of the company, and the rest is history. But all this to say, what you're going to find is skyslope is extremely intuitive, and that is because it was developed by an agent through an agent's lens for the use of agents. So go on with that. Really quickly here, what we do as a company. So we are a transaction management system. And what that means is we have a centralized cloud system where you as an agent will upload your deals. You're going to fill in your deal information. You're going to upload all of the forms and whatnot that's been signed. And then your deal secretaries and your staff and front desk, they're going to review your files virtually online. So everything's going to be done online, electronic. That saves you the back and forth of having to hand paperwork to one another. It also eases in that in the workflow, because now you're not having to, figure out where your documents are. You just have to log in and find them online. All right. So here in this graph, it just basically shows that we've streamlined everything, all of your processes, all of your workflows, all of the different systems that you're going to be using here. Now, obviously, it's a pretty robust system, right? So I'm not going to go through everything that it does today. I'm just going to really talk about the things that you need to know to get started. And that is, 1, how to start a file in skyslope, whether it be your listing or your deal. And 2, we're going to talk about how to turn in your documents to your teams for review. Okay, so we're just going to keep it real simple, dial it down to 2 things. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the program. Now, all of you have your lines muted today. If you have a question, I encourage you to ask the question using our Zoom chat feature. So you should be able to see the chat window there, and I'm just going to type something in real quick just so you all see that message come through. All right. Now, what you're looking at right here, this is the home page of your login account, right? So when you complete today's training, you're going to be sent a welcome email. That email will contain credentials for you to log in and create your password and all that good stuff. Once you log in, this is what you're going to see. All right, I am currently logged into my training account right within the REMAX Rouge River instance. So everything here will look the same. Now, as an agent, this is your view. You're going to have 10 buttons here in the center of the screen. Like I said earlier, we're not going to review all of them. We're just going to keep it to the basics, need to know items. Here at the top, once you start entering your deals into skyslope, you're going to see a dashboard of all of your active listings, all of your pending transactions, and so on. Okay, now before we get really into the nitty-gritty, I do want to point your attention to this icon here that I'm hovering over. This is how you'll contact our 24-hour support team that I spoke of earlier. Now, when you're in the system, you've got a quick question, the best thing for you to do is click on that icon and chat your question into one of our support members right here. So you type your question in, you're going to get a response within 10 seconds. Now, what's great about this team is not only are they, fully trained in skyslope, but they reside right here in our Sacramento, California office. And what that means is that they've been trained personally by Tyler, the creator of the system. So they're going to be the best and most knowledgeable people in our program. So please, 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 whenever you encounter a question, don't hesitate to just chat the question in. You'll get it answered immediately, and then you can move on with your day. All right, now if this is not as urgent, maybe you just want to learn about the program, you're more than welcome to come in here and search about topics that you'd like to learn about. We've also got curated articles here specifically for agents. They're really short little articles with video tutorials. It's really great. I encourage you to browse that when you have time. And then down here at the very, very bottom, there's that toll-free number that you can call into our support team, get a pickup within 2 phone rings. Okay? So yes, I do want you to use that resource as much and as often as needed. They are the best people to help you with any of your questions. Now over here to the right, this is my personal account, right? I just want to show you a couple of things in terms of setting up your preferences. Your personal information will already be in here for you. Feel free to come in here. You can see your time zone is all in there. Just go ahead and edit whatever you need to. I want to point your attention to the notifications because as you begin using the program, you may not be able to log in every day, all day, right? So go ahead and set up these notifications for yourselves so that when things change with your file, you'll get an email notification versus having to log in to find out. And also right here under the signature pane, I'm going to show you a little later how you can send emails through skyslope. But when you do send an email, of course, you want it to look professional. So go ahead and copy and paste your email signature right into this box right here. And that way, when you do send an email out of skyslope, it'll look like it came from your regular Gmail account or whatever other system you use. Alrighty. So I'm going to take us back home to the home page. And now let's talk through a standard scenario that many agents go through from day to day. So imagine, if you will, I'm going to paint this picture, that I just recently met with my client, George. We were sitting in a coffee shop and we talked a little bit. And he mentioned to me that he'd wanted to list his property. So of course I got really excited. I've been waiting for him to do this for a while. So I went home, I downloaded all my documents from web forms, got them all filled out, and I emailed that to him just for signature. He has now since sent them over to me, and now they're sitting in my Gmail inbox, and I need to get those signed documents into skyslope, okay? But before I do that, the first thing I want to do is come into skyslope and create my new listing file for George. So by doing that, I'm going to come over here and click that Create Listing button. All right, immediately I'll be greeted by Sky. She is our virtual listing assistant. Her whole job here is just to guide me through the listing creation process, okay? So when I click enter the listing, first thing it's going to ask me, what is the address of the property? So I'm going to type in an address, and what this does is it uses Google Maps technology, and it'll pull up a list of relevant addresses in my geographic area. So, it knows that I'm in the Sacramento region. It's going to pull these up here. So whenever I choose one, it'll then populate the address. If I don't see it for whatever reason, I can always go ahead and switch to manual entry and enter all that myself. But once I've found the address, I'm going to click Let's Go. Then it'll ask me what type of listing. We try to keep it simple for you all, so really all you have to do here is select listing. That's what it is. Next question, how much is this property listed for? So I'm just going to go ahead and enter a nice little amount here. And then what is the listing and sale commission? So when you enter your commission, you may operate off of like a net commission, or a gross commission percentage. So if the gross commission for the office is 6% and then the sales agent gets 3%, that means that the listing commission is 3%, okay? So just enter your percentage as you normally would. or if it happens to be a flat rate deal, you can switch to flat rate and that changes it to a dollar amount. Okay. Down here where it says add co-list agent, this is actually if you happen to work on a team of agents and you want your other team members to see this file, you should add them as a co-list agent. Otherwise, they will not have visibility to this file. Okay, because it is a very secure system. Only you see this. Of course, your deal secretaries and your listing staff and all that, they'll see this as well. Moving on, next question. How long is this listing for? So basically, they're asking you what is the listing start and end date? And then who is the client, right? Who is my client here? So I'm just going to enter George's name right here if I could spell correctly today. Alrighty. Now, I also have the option to switch to a company seller if this is a bank-owned property or something of that nature. All it does is it changes it to company name as opposed to first and last name. And of course, we can always add additional sellers and spouses and partners here by clicking Add Additional Seller. Next, please disregard this. This is an automatic pop-up for California users. I'm in California, so it recognized that. You won't see that screen. All right, finally, does everything look okay? So final review of what we've entered. If it looks great, click Create My Listing. If there's an edit to be made, go ahead and click the back arrow, change whatever you need to change. All right, so when I click Create My Listing, it's going to bring me right here, and this is where I'll find my checklist. These are a list of items that are required of me in order to proceed with this listing, okay? Now, a couple of things to talk about here just so I can ground you in what you're looking at. This is a complete listing file, and how you'll know this is the very first tab says Listing. Okay, now each of these tabs that I'll go through with you, consider them sort of like the manila tabs, a folder, the tabs in a manila folder, right? Each of them will contain and house specific information. So right now I'm on the checklist tab. This is where I'll submit all of my required documents. Alrighty, so before I dive into this, I just want to make sure, does anyone have any questions up until this point? I'd love to answer them, and then if not, we can just move on from here. Alrighty, no questions. Sorry, that was my coffee break as well. Alrighty, so now that we're on the checklist, I want to show you several different ways of getting your documents uploaded here for your deal secretary's review, okay? So remember earlier I mentioned that George, he sent the documents to me via email. So now they're sitting in my Gmail inbox. I need to get them from there into this skyslope file. Well, the most easy and streamlined way of doing that is to email them directly into the file. Now you'll notice where I'm hovering. This is the email address that was assigned directly to the file by skyslope automatically. I don't have to do anything about it. As soon as I click Create My Listing, it assigned the email. This email is specific to the property because notice it reads exactly as the property address, Saratoga Circle 5679 at skyslope.com. It cannot be amended, so don't feel like you can come in here and change it. It's a static email address. So what I can do with this is several things. I can CC this email address to any correspondence that I'm sharing with my client. I can forward emails into this file with this email address. I can even send text messages to my client and add this as a recipient to that text message so that the texts will copy into the file. But what I'm going to show you today is how to get documents in here from using this email. So first, what you're going to want to do is copy this email address. And then I'm going to go into my email account. You'll notice here, this is that email I was referring to from George. He's sent over his listing packet. So I just need to get this into skyslope. And I'll do that by clicking forward. I will paste that property email address and click send. It's as simple as that. 3 clicks and off it goes. So what'll happen next, this listing packet will arrive in my skyslope file under the Documents folder. Okay, now this Documents folder, you can consider this the inbox of your file. Anything and everything that you want to email in will come in here first. Email messages, documents. You can upload photos here if you'd like. You can store whatever you like. There's no storage limit. So feel free to use this and use this as the general sort of repository for your file, if you will. Okay, I'm going to refresh my page because as you can see, that listing packet that I emailed has now arrived, and it's sitting right here in the documents section. Now, keep in mind, the documents folder is separate from the checklist. What that means is everything that's in here will not necessarily be on the checklist. You still have to take one more step to add the document to the checklist for your deal secretary's review. Now, this document here, this is a packet, right? As the name suggests, there are about 5 individual documents here in the packet. I do not want to attach the entire packet to the line item on the checklist. Instead, what I want to do is use that built-in split feature to electronically split those individual documents out, then attach them to the checklist. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. Okay, so when I click that split button, it's going to show me a preview of my packet. I'm on page 1 of 18. This is a listing agreement. Of course, I need this as part of my listing checklist. So what I'll do is come over to the left, and as I begin typing the word listing, you'll see what it does. It'll drill down the list of options to the ones that are most appropriate. And I'll just go ahead and select the listing agreement line item from that checklist. Then you'll simply go through these pages to find the last page of your listing agreement, and that ended on page 8. Page 9 here is my agency agreement. So you're going to come over again to the left and type in the word agency to find where that item might be on the checklist. So let's go ahead and add it there. Scroll through the list to find the last page. Alrighty, so now let's say you found a document, you're not quite sure what this is called on the checklist, so you don't want to type in just anything here. Instead, what you can do is press the space bar. That's just a quick tip for you guys. Press the space bar to reveal the entire checklist. So from here, you can just add this document wherever you think it's appropriate. Okay? And then move on, select the start and end pages. So essentially you're going to go through the packet and assign, separate and assign whatever documents are needed. The ones that are not needed, there may be 1 or 2 documents that your staff does not need to review. You can just leave them in here, okay? But once you're done, what you'll do is click this split and assign button, and it's going to tell you, congrats, you were successfully able to split 3 docs and they were attached to your checklist. So when you click go to checklist, notice what has happened now to the checklist items. Now, earlier when we were here, you noticed everything was red or required. Now, the 3 items that were split from my checklist show as in review. So that's good. Yellow is good. That means that you've successfully attached a document. Your deal secretaries will receive an email notifying them that you've uploaded documents. They're going to come in and review the documents and so on. Okay? So that's how you're going to communicate back and forth with the teams, with the staff. You're not going to have to email them separately. You're not going to have to text them or call them. They will know once you've attached an item that you've submitted it in your hands. You can just wash them clean until the next time. All right. So what'll happen next is your deal secretaries, they're going to review the documents. When they review them, they're going to shoot an email over to you that looks very similar to this one here. It'll say skyslope checklist reviewed with the property address in the subject line. And then it's really simple to look at this and know exactly what your marching orders are, because you'll see here items that they've accepted will show as complete. Items that they've rejected will show as incomplete. They will always tell you what you need to fix. And then items that are still required of you will still show as red. So you still need to upload those documents for them. Alrighty. So again, keep an eye on your Please keep an eye on your inbox for those emails that you'll start receiving once your deal secretaries have been able to review your documents. And I apologize for my little dog in the background. Hold on here. She's a barker. Alrighty. So anyways, that's what you're going to see. Those are the emails that, that you're going to get from your deal secretaries once they've reviewed your files. Okay? So now, one other way to show you how to attach documents, of course, I showed you earlier how to email them in. They'll be found here in the documents folder. You can split them out from here. But let's say you just have this document sitting on your desktop and you just want to attach it. Well, that's quite simple to do as well, okay? All you have to do is click this attach button, click upload document, and you can just select the document from your computer, and once it's been selected, it will then be attached directly to the checklist item like that. Okay, so again, several different ways. We do recommend you email anything in because that's the most streamlined way of getting it in here. And also, anytime you send an email into the file, we will record that email as well. So for example, this is that email I forwarded in earlier. That's what it looks like. So it's a great record keeping of all the communication that's been exchanged with your client. All right, so I'm going to take a quick pause right there. We just went through the parts about how to create a listing file as well as how to attach documents. So remember earlier I said those are the two key things that you as an agent will need to understand how to do. We've already reviewed them. So right now I'm going to take a quick pause and go through the chat, see if there's any questions. Feel free to ask your questions now. This is a great pause, and then we'll go ahead and talk about some other things here as well. Just a quick message, Melody did advise that she has sent everyone online today their welcome emails. If you happen to have a TrebNet email, please check your spam folder. Somehow it gets blocked, so you may need to change your email address to something else. And then also someone asked the question, what is our username? Your username is going to be your email address. So whatever you're using for your email through REMAX Rouge, that's what you're going to use for your skyslope username. Question, will I be covering trade record sheets? So I might have Melody unmute to comment on this, but trade record sheets are going to be a thing of the past because a lot of the information that's required is entered in skyslope.
Right. Thanks, Emily. Excuse me. So just to clarify, what's skyslope is a paperless transaction management system. That's how I describe it anyways. So basically, Emily's just gone through entering your listing and listing document. It's not an appointment management system. So we use showing time for appointments, and we use Lone Wolf or Broker Wolf for our accounting software and our trade record sheets. So this is actually a virtual file folder. So this will give you the ability to log in anytime and recover your documents. Whereas now we store everything to Lone Wolf, you can't access anything we've stored. So you can't, once you've handed in your listing agreement, working with a realtor and client ID or agreement of purchase and sale, you often call us again and ask us to send it back to you. With this program, you'll be able to log in anytime and retrieve those documents. So if you have a client who's done a buy and a sell, you can find that document and share it to the other transaction. So as far as trade record sheets go, this program will replace the handwritten trade record sheet. And Emily will go through that process of converting a listing to a deal or entering a buyer deal, which isn't our listing. That information will go to the front desk secretary, who will then create a trade record sheet in Lone Wolf, and all of the documents will be attached and in the same place as in skyslope. So if it's your listing, the listing and trade deal documents will be here. If it's just a deal, all of your deal documents will be found here. And then JC will send you your trade record sheet through this program. Also, there's a digital signature program within skyslope. So she'll basically email you your trade record sheet to sign, and she'll store it to that file. So you'll be able to get everything related to each transaction within skyslope. You'll be able to find everything rather than, trying to find the email or making separate email folders within your Gmail and all of that. So this should be, one-stop shop. So again, yes, Emily said, if you have a TrebNet email address, I know I didn't get my welcome email through TrebNet, so I changed it to my Gmail address. So let me know if you haven't received. If you're a team, so a team or partnership, I'm trying to give you a common login username so that you can share the information. And other than that, I don't have anything else to say. I'll let Emily proceed with the transaction side.
Thank you. Thank you
Yep.
for the comments. I think that was great clarity for your for the agents and online. All right, so let's see here. Let's move on. So like I said, we already went through the process of creating a listing when you represent the seller. Okay, so now I've got my listing here under Manage Listings. You can find any and all listings that are pre-deal, pre-sale here under the Manage Listings folder. Now, a couple of things to note. If you're working with the seller, you are going to start by creating a listing. If you're working with the buyer, all right, you would actually start here and create a transaction. So just make sure you're aware of that. Two different places to start depending on which end you represent. All right. However, as I always tell people, all files eventually will end up as a transaction, hopefully, because you'll find buyers for your listings, right? So let's go ahead and talk through that process now. Under Manage Listings, this is the file that I just, no, this one here. This is the file that I just created. So we're going to go ahead and convert this to a transaction now that I found a buyer. A couple of ways to do that. The easiest is just to come to the screen here under Manage Listings and click this little checkbox which says Accept Contract. Okay, now when you accept a contract, it's going to come and change that file from a listing to a transaction. But notice the other tabs of that manila folder, they have not yet been populated because there's still information that I need to enter to proceed. So here it's still an incomplete transaction file. What I'm going to do is scroll through these fields. Anything that's got a red asterisk next to it, that is a required field. So let's just scan through. Checklist type, there are three types here. Buyer represented is when you only represent the buyer. Seller represented, which is in this case, I represent the seller, right? So I'm going to select that option. And then, you know, as you scan through, a lot of these fields would have already been populated from the listing side. So I really just need to enter the pertinent things such as, you know, how much did I actually get for this property? I got a little bit more than expected. And then the closing date. When do we expect this deal to close? And then also when did we accept the deal, which is, let's say, today. All right, so that's all I have to fill out here on page 1. I'll click the next button at the bottom. It brings me here to my contacts page. Now for contacts, again, I've already entered the seller because he's my seller previously. I don't have to do anything there. However, I do need to enter who the buyer is going to be. Now, you know, notice here, none of these fields are required. So, you know, we encourage you to enter this information because you should have it by this point, but go ahead and enter whatever you like here. Keep in mind too, anytime you work with the client, we save that client's information in your personal directory so that the next time you work with that client, you can actually search for that client in your directory to add their information here. So it saves you some data entry, some keystrokes. And then the next on the list is lawyer information. We understand you don't always know who your lawyer is going to be at the onset, so you can skip that portion of it. And then finally, the other agent. Okay, who are you working with on the other side? In this case, who's representing the buyer? So again, you can always go ahead and search your contact directory if you've got one, and then their information will populate accordingly. All right, so once all of these 4 fields have been entered, you'll just simply click that Submit button here at the top. And then once you do, you'll be brought here to the commissions tab. There's really not much to do here unless, you know, for whatever reason, the commission percentages have changed. Otherwise, all you have to do is click Submit. And then that will bring you here to your brand new checklist. Remember earlier on the listing side, we had a checklist specific for listing documents. Now that this has gone pending, we will now have to submit some additional sales documentation, as we call it, to complete this file. All right, but again, let the color coding guide you as to what is required of you and what is not. You know, JC and the team, they're going to come in here and they can tell you if for whatever reason the copy and receipt of deposit is not required for this file, they're going to tell you that and they'll change this to not required. So just keep in mind, everything you need to know is right on this page. Okay. In addition to that, anything that, you know, what I showed you earlier as far as how to get documents in here, all of that pertains on the transaction side as well. So you still have the attach buttons if these documents reside on your computer. You can always email those documents in, and from there you can come here to documents and assign that document to the checklist. Okay. Or from here, also you can, in the document section, you've got several different things that you can do as well. I didn't cover this earlier, but I do want to let you know, within your documents folder, this is sort of that inbox for your file. You also can use it as an inbox by emailing your documents out, okay? So say, for example, when I went ahead and I split out that larger listing packet earlier, it broke it out into these individual documents. Let's just say that George asked for a copy. I can simply come into skyslope, select the listing agreement, click email, and email them out. Email everything out directly to George like that, okay? And I can type a copy here, whatever I want to put in the body of the email, click send, and off it goes. So that's one thing that you can do here within your skyslope account. Another thing that you can do, you can also send a document via DigiSign to get it signed directly from within the file. Okay, so I'll talk more about DigiSign here momentarily, but just know that there's several different things that you can do right here within the file. We also, like I mentioned earlier, have a log where you can see exactly what has transpired with your file. When any of the desk secretaries come in to review a document, it's going to show here who did what and when, so it's a great record-keeping tool. And then lastly, I want to talk briefly about tasks. Tasks is a great way to keep organized with all of the activities that you need to do. So whether it be your activity or maybe it's something that your admin will not need to do for you, you can create tasks, import task templates, and it will tell you exactly when those specific activities are due. So actually, after we do the general agent training sessions, we'll be scheduling some masterclass sessions, and one of them will be geared toward how to use tasks efficiently. So just keep that on in the back of your head. All right. Also, from time to time, we know that deals don't go through, right? Maybe in this case, the buyer, maybe their deal fell through, the funding did not come through. So if that happens, we're going to want to cancel that deal half of the transaction so that we can accept a new offer on it. So when that happens, you're going to click that cancel transaction button, and you'll just let your deal secretaries know exactly why you're canceling. You know, we can say the buyer couldn't obtain funding. All right, so then once you've entered your reason, you'll simply click cancel transaction, and then this way your deal secretaries will also know to reactivate the listing for you so you can accept a new offer on it. Okay? Alrighty, so I'm going to take us back home. Again, what we did just there is we went to manage listings and I found my listing. I converted it to a transaction, which now will be housed here until it closes. You as an agent, you do not have to worry about closing your files. That's what all of your that's all the desk secretaries and JC and all that, they will take care of all that. All you need to be responsible for is uploading your documents to your checklist so that they can be reviewed. Okay. Now, I mentioned earlier, if you are a buyer's agent, I know some agents are exclusively buyer agents, you'll always start here and create a transaction. It's going to be the exact same process as I outlined for you earlier. You're just going to have to enter your deal information as far as what the property address is, what type of deal is it, which side you represent, and then of course the contact details. Alrighty, so now that we've talked through all of this, I do want to close by talking about DigiSign today. As Melody mentioned, DigiSign is our digital signature tool. It is integrated into the system. Your desk secretaries, they're going to use DigiSign to send the trade record sheets and all that to you. But you as an agent, you're encouraged to use this as well to obtain any supplemental signatures, any initials and signatures that may have been missed in the first go round. You can use this as well. I know you're using AuthentiSign currently through web forms. Continue doing that. You know, that's great for initiating that form signature process. But like I said, in the event that you have a missing signature, or maybe there's another, internal document that you need to sign, feel free to use DigiSign. So I'll go through it quickly for you. You can launch it directly from the home screen here by clicking that button. It's going to bring you here to the DigiSign homepage. And from here, there's the new envelope button. That's how you're going to start the process. Now, when you select new envelope, the first question it'll ask you is, where do you want to start from? Do you want to start from one of the property files? I apologize, my computer is lagging at the moment. I'm getting the spinning wheel of death. Okay, there we are. So like I said, it's going to ask you, where do you want to start? Do you want to start with one of these files that you already have working currently? Or if you haven't yet started the file, say, for example, you're working with a buyer, you all haven't made an offer on any property yet, but you want to get the buyer agency agreement signed, you can go ahead and get started with no property in those occasions. All right, but in this case, we're going to go ahead and select that pending file that we are already working on. And the advantage of selecting a file when there is one is that it will know, the system already knows what documents you've uploaded to the file. So if it's one of these that needs to get re-signed, it's quite easy just to select and it will then get added to the envelope. If it's not one of these and it's a separate document altogether, you can always upload directly from your computer by clicking that button there. But once it's been added, you can always apply a template if you've created one. We're not going to go into that today. Again, we'll have a master class around DigiSign as well, but that'll basically overlay any signature and initial blocks for you. Once you click that next button, it's going to bring you to the signers. So as the sender of the document, I am always going to be listed as a potential signer. I can just add myself to the envelope that way. But then, of course, it also knows who's my seller, who's my buyer, and all that here as well. So whoever needs to sign, we'll just go ahead and get signed there. Make sure you have an email address for your signers. Otherwise, of course, they can't use this product. Go ahead and add them that way. You can also add signer groups. So essentially, if someone has to sign before the other, you can add a signer group so that the second person in order does not receive that document to sign until after the first person has signed. Okay, you can also add additional recipients. So maybe the other agent asked for a copy, but they don't necessarily need to sign. You can always go ahead and add them as a recipient instead of a signer. All right, next, we're going to go ahead and add those signature and initial blocks to the document. So up here at the top are your list of options. Agents are most commonly going to be sticking with these 4 options here. So for example, if I need to add initials to this particular document, we'll click the initials box and I'll drop them where I need them. So I myself as the agent needs to initial there and the seller needs to initial there. And then we're just going to simply go through the document and add those blocks where I need them. And as I mentioned earlier, if you had created a DigiSign template, this will overlay all of these blocks for you. But we're just going to show you how to do them manually today. All right, and last but not least, let's say we need to add a signature here at the bottom. We'll do that right there. So we'll select signature. We'll add one for George and we'll add one for myself. And then the date signed, right? We can add a date signed stamp right there for each of us as well. All right, so once the document has been configured this way with your signature and initial blocks, you'll go ahead and click that send button and you can compose a quick message to your client letting them know what they need to do before clicking send. All right, so as I mentioned, I'm the sender, I'm the agent, right? If I need to sign and I've added myself as a signer, I can actually click sign now instead of waiting for that envelope to arrive to me. So here, when you click sign now, first thing it's going to ask you is to adopt a signature style and agree to the consumer consent disclosure. Once you've done so, if you're familiar with this document, you don't need to read it. You can simply click that start button. It'll bring you only to those areas that have been highlighted for your signature or initial. Okay. However, of course, we understand sometimes clients should be reading through everything. They can very easily scroll through the pages and read. Now, I'm going to finish my signing here and then submit. What will happen next is my client, George, will now receive a copy and he will be prompted to sign. So I want to really quickly show you what the client experience looks like in skyslope as well. Let's take a moment to show you that. All right, so imagine now I am the client, George Clooney. I will have received an email from my agent. When I open up the email, it'll have the logo there and it'll just quickly tell me to sign, right? When I click that sign button, it'll launch the document. And as the client, I'm going to have to select a signature style as well and agree to the consumer consent. Now, like I said, the client can scroll through and read through each page and click on the signatures where they need to add them. And then once they are done signing, the client will then receive a copy automatically that they can download here for their own records. Of course, they will also receive an email notifying them that the document has been signed. And you yourself as the sending agent, you will also receive an email that says all signed. So that's how you'll know that everything's been done. Now, again, as I mentioned, one of the great benefits of using skyslope and DigiSign all in one is when you selected that property address from the get-go, right, as part of that envelope creation process, what it does is it will send the fully signed document back into your file. So if I come back into my file right here, I come into the document section, you'll see that the document that was just signed by George and myself is now sitting happily in my file. So all I have to do at this point is assign it to one of the items on the checklist if I need to, or I can just keep it here in the file if I don't need to. Okay. All right, folks, that is about all that I think we'd want to cover today. I know I've talked a lot about the program. Those are the key things that you'll want to know. Essentially, that we are a transaction management system. You're going to be able to upload all your documents, store them here for review and posterity, as well as your deal secretaries will be able to come in here and review them. So it's a centralized location for all of you to communicate about your files. Melody, did you want to comment here as well?
Sure. So I see Sophia joined us late in the training session, and a couple others joined in midway. So just to repeat what I had said earlier, is this is a virtual filing cabinet. This is where your documents will be stored and you will be able to access them. So listings and deal transactions or documents you'll be able to access through skyslope. And the staff will either upload them for you or you will upload them. This will eliminate the need for you to fill out a seller information sheet or a trade record sheet. And your Lone Wolf trade record sheet that JC prepares for you will be uploaded to this program as well, and she'll have you digitally sign it. Rai Mohan is asking, when will we be required to start using skyslope? I don't require you to do anything. You can send your stuff to this front desk staff as you always do, if that's the method you prefer. And you've all been emailing anyhow, so it's very easy for us. We get the PDF and we can upload it for you. If you want to start using skyslope, we encourage you to. It's a really great organizational tool for you. You can start using right away. So everybody who's on this call, so Sophie, Josie, Anna, Vesna, Rai, Mona, Kim, Jamie, John, Nathan, Wanda, and Fabian and Jennifer, I've sent you all your welcome email from skyslope, and I can see if you've logged in or not. So if you don't have that welcome email, it's possible that TrebNet email has blocked it. Let me know, and then I'll flip it over to a different email address for you. I see some of you have already logged in, and you'll be able to see if you have any current listings or current within the last week. Our staff has uploaded all of your listing documents to skyslope already. And then as they sell, we will be converting them to a transaction and uploading your agreements of purchase and sale and etc. And everything will be found here. So you'll be able to access all your documents at any time from anywhere. So hopefully you'll really enjoy using this.
Great.
Is there a fee we're charged for using this service? No, we are going to pay the fee. So we bought this as a company as a whole. It's not cheap, but we think that it's going to create some huge efficiencies for us. It's eliminated the cost of, a file folder, a file tab, creating the label and all of that time saving, and time saving for you as well. So I think it's really going to be useful. We could have really used this at the time when we were away during COVID, because our staff was really finding uploading a challenge from home, from their home computer. So this would have been cool then, but it's great going forward anyways. We needed it. Any other questions? Can you please type into your into the chat here or speak up if you if you have not received your email? I'd like to see you at least click and log in. I see Alicia hasn't yet logged in. Let me see, who else do I have here?
Feel free to unmute your lines. We have a small enough group where if you wanted to speak up, please do so.
Yep, I see Corey hasn't yet logged in. I think Jamie did, and El Potvin did. I got a password reset email from Vesna, which
Yes, that's perfect.
Logged in from. Perfect. I think actually I sent the reset password email, so sorry, that's
okay.
what I sent instead. I don't think Wanda. Oh, Josie's been in, so that's cool.
John says he hasn't received an email yet.
John Plumpton? Okay, let me go there. John Plumpton. That's a TrepNet email address. John, will you please give me another email address? I see Wanda got the email. Let's see what I have here for Plumpton. Ryan Mohan, I will try to log in from my phone since we are on this Zoom call. Oh, okay. Oh, thanks for the Rogers email address, John. And
quick thing to note as well, as we go through this, folks, we encourage you to use Google Chrome as your browser when you're using skyslope. I know some agents are still using Microsoft Internet Explorer. That program is not being supported by any of the SaaS providers any longer. It's so outdated. So to get the best performance, definitely use Google Chrome if you can.
right. Good. Okay. Well, so going forward, I know who has been on this call, and I know I can see who's logging in and giving it a try. You know, and again, it's not something that you are required to learn. If it's just too overwhelming for you to learn something new, you know, at this time, that's fine. If you want to continue sending your information to the front desk and we upload it for you, that's fine. This is to make our jobs easier, but it's a bonus for you because you will be able to access all of these documents at any time rather than calling JC and asking her to send you this or that. So other than that, I think Emily's gonna do this again next week a few times. So if you missed it, you can come back. It's also recorded, so I think Jennifer's gonna add it, include it into the Sunday newsletter. And then sometime later, Emily's gonna do like a master class, which will include some cool things that I was looking at. So if you have tasks that you do for your listing, so order up the sign, stage the property, you know, get the photographer, order down the sign, all of those sort of tasks per listing, you'll be able to set those up specific to you. And then again, you know, get away from paper to-do lists. So, and it'll set reminders in your calendars. Very, very cool. So Emily will do that in a couple of weeks when we get a little bit more familiar with this. Also, if you have a secretary who needs training on this, let me know, and we will get them all caught up. And that's it for me. Thanks, Emily. Emily, did you have anything further?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I was on mute. I wanted to say thanks to everybody for attending today. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions along the way, contact support. They're your best resource. But yeah, we'll be doing this again on Monday. So I hope if you didn't get enough today, you're more than welcome to join again on Monday. Thanks so much.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Take
Bye
care.
now.
Bye-bye now.